Good morning.
Thanks a lot, Kate, for this nice introduction. I'll talk about the wide range of damaging events affecting trees in parks and gardens, but of course, and how we should deal with it. We're giving a glimpse on this initiative, which is untranslatable. Even in German, the shortcut name is too long, but it feels like a member meeting here, seeing Maike and Norbert and of course Christian and Jens here on the screen. So I will focus on these trees especially, but also give you a glimpse on this initiative and how we dealt with it. It was not founded by me, I'm just the manager. It was founded by Jens and Michael Hörmann of the Federal Garden and Castle Association and the German Horticultural Association, all these long abbreviations we'll see. And I have the table of content here for you. I'll dig on the problems and fields of action. Of course, there are lots of experts much more deeper into it as me, like Mike and Norbert and also Kerstin Abicht. So I just will give you a short overview for starting this lovely day, which in Berlin has gray skies, but I faked the photograph, so we all have a good time. Thank you. Climate crisis is much combined with this hot and dry summers, which affect trees and even younger and larger tree populations in the last years, not only the historic ones in the scenery, which are quite crucial for all historic gardens. So we have to work on this topic in either way, and I'll give you some information about the facts and figures which are clear. The death toll of human beings is rising, the sea level as well, but much more important are the two green highlighted figures there. The groundwater below average, already 8 times in Germany in the last 40 years, and the period of vegetation, which is prolonged by 10 days already, and this makes a lot of stress. You can see a beech tree here from the Castle Gardens of Dick, where Jens is heading the foundation. The beeches are suffering most of it. So what are the topics I'm going to talk about? It's drought and heat. It's the increase of pests and diseases. We have massive losses in historic gardens. We'll figure that on some pictures on gardens in Saxony. And we have an increased demand for machinery and personnel, which is difficult also for the maintenance and for the groups responsible for the gardens, because it costs a lot. The high costs of felling and clearing are problems itself. These are the main topics about demands we have. It's either budget and skills and personnel. These are the two main topics. Drought and heat, this is clear. And in Germany, we now have a drought atlas. Some years ago, it was created to visualize the dramatic effects. You all know that from other countries too. And we have an increase of pests and diseases in this combination of the climate effects. We talk about complex Krankheiten, complex diseases, which combine these effects with a picture of the gardens of Castle of Branitz, where we have these problems with the oaks, for instance. And I talked about the massive losses of trees in great and famous historic gardens. This is an example of Dresden, the great gardens in Dresden. And you can see the augmentations from 2017 to 2020 in the prognosis. It multiplies in a horrific way. And if you see the red dots in the garden, it's really a shame how many trees didn't survive these conditions. And combined with the effects I told you about the felling and the clearing, which costs a lot and binds a lot of manpower, the garden directors have great problems to maintain their gardens open, as you told before, Kate. Yes, we have this demand on machinery, which of course isn't easy to handle, because there aren't so many companies who can do this. So you have to wait to clear these spots, and then they are not open for the public, which creates another problem, because if the gardens are funded on the entrance fees, which is in a lot of cases it's the main foundation for the maintenance, you can't get the money you need, and you have to pay more for the clearing and the felling. High costs of clearing and felling, and a special example from Branitz as well. These oak trees normally sell very well on the timber market, because now construction wood is a scarce resource in the whole world, as you know. But they can't sell it because they are damaged by effects of World War II, and the sawmills don't take it because they ruin their saws. If they cut it, there's so much metal of shrapnels and bombs in it that they can't even sell it and refund the costs of clearing it. So it's the double tragedy if you see it like that. And of course, the big trees like this one here in Hanover, in the Great Gardens of Hanover, you can see how much dimensions we have to deal with, and with these safety figures and this tendency of insurance companies to make pressure on responsible, because it's all about security and safety. It means a lot to gardens. I don't have to stress on that. So the Initiative Alliance of Historical Gardens and Climate Change, EHGIK in German, was founded in 2019. You can see some pictures of the founding session with Jens here in the center, and Michael Hörmann, our former speaker, Norbert as well, to tackle these effects and get together a network in order to exchange experiences and help each other, because there's not yet a really system to cover with all these effects in gardens. There's a beginning of a funding in Germany, which the Ministry of Environment or the Ministry of Building and Public Spaces is going to fund, but the skills and the experiments and the way to tackle it are also expensive to finance, and so it makes absolutely sense to get together the groups affected and to exchange. And as Michael Hörmann quoted it in the stating for the founding session, he said, "Trees are the capital of these gardens. These gardens are living works of art. They are irreplaceable factual archives of cultural history and botanical research. But the trees are in the center of it in more senses than one. It's emotional, it's dimensional, and it's also in the sense of the treasure of these gardens are the trees." So a bit on the organization, we're based in Berlin. So we have two new speakers now. Jens remains speaker, but Stefan Schweitzer is president of the German Horticultural Society. And of course, we'll continue our work. Actually, we have got 65 members from federal, regional, municipal, and private park managements. But it was also important to have the Green Professional Association like the ELCA and the ENA, European Nursery Association or European Landscape Contractors. We've got Ecomos and many other players in this team. And among our address scheme, there are already 3 non-German addresses, 1 Danish, 1 Polish, and 1 Austrian. Long-time plans are to extend this network to European partners and also have an English part of our website. I'll focus on that afterwards. So what are the fields of action? I stress on irrigation, soil improvement, resistant species, and training and qualification. Of course, Mike and Norbert will dig on that too, and Jens, of course. But we have the first reaction on these drought and heat themes are to keep the humidity in the soil or to water directly. Of course, this isn't feasible and not sustainable in large-scale parks and gardens. This is clear. Mulching is the way of covering the soil to prevent the humidity to go away and also to prevent these herbs of growing. You see these effects. I wanted to stress on this. This is the great Tiergarten in Berlin. You have these counter effects if you water the trees. There are high beeches in there. A lot of the pathways get humid, and the cyclists just take the other turn. Like in this picture, you can see it already. This guy with a red rucksack is doing it, and by that there are negative effects on the plantings as well, due to this fact that the water can't be put only on these plant areas, and with this you can see the effects. New tendencies are to recreate historical ponds or historical irrigation systems, like here in Blankenburg Castle in northern Germany, or in Castle of Benrath in Düsseldorf. They are recreating irrigation systems from the time of the creation of the park with Nicolas Pigage. You have this basis of soil improvement, of course, putting air to the roots, or to just increase the water storage capacity. Of course, there's this mycorrhiza technique and biochar as well. These pictures I got from Maike. We'll stress on it later. And of course, the mycorrhiza system. These also are kinds of reactions to dig on the soil. Here you got the charcoal. This is a picture of Jens from DIG. And it's even part of the federal programs in southern Germany to integrate this biochar in the state process of melioration of the soil conditions. And the third strategy is working with resistant species. Like we all know that the classic park trees, or the park tree, the beech, the European beech, can no longer survive properly. So the question is, which plants can we use to replace it without changing the former idea of the grand landscape architects of the 18th and 19th century? This is the crucial question here. Here you see another hornbeam of China. I think Jens planted it in DIG. And there's this German nursery association who works with the garden management municipalities organization, and they made a list of so-called future trees. These are all trees which are long time experiments prove their ability to resist these heat and drought effects in the cities, and that might give an effect on parks too. Another strategy here from Castle of Branitz, south of Berlin, is creating this so-called University of Trees, which was already created by Fürst Pückler, the creator, a great garden designer from the 19th century. And they tend to integrate proper nurseries in their parks to rebuild the structure of old trees with the replanting of species and saving species from the stock. Of course, research and qualification is very important too. This is a point which is the core of this seminar. So we also have to focus on getting these resources, like the knowledge and the personnel who is working for it. This is the name which the initiative has also in mind. Of course, research is existing and ongoing. You see a book of Norbert here on the right side and of Professor Rode on the left side. But this knowledge has to be brought into the gardens, and this is by bringing it together with people who can use it and can work on the gardens. the special training sessions, of course. This is a Baumpraxis from Jostik. And now I come to the networking, which is also important. Publications, of course, we have to gather people and make politicians and responsibles aware of these problems and make them fund programs to work against these effects and to finance projects and best practices. There's one project on European level. We had the speaker, Mrs. Leisner, who's doing a research project on European basis. It's called CERES, which means the effects of climate change on cultural heritage. And we got a lot of members meetings already. We work on expositions. And we have now, by funding of the German National Committee of Monument Protection, we have funded an own homepage, which should use should serve as a basis of exchange and also information. It was developed in a long time online monologue, you know, all these pictures of video sessions, and now it's online, it's live. It's called Gärten im Klimawandel. I've got the address on the last picture I present to you, and we try to fill it now with best practices, with news, as you can see, which kind of a knowledge base which everybody can use, a short portrait of us. The members can present themselves also with best practices, and you've got some download and some contact details. This is the search engine. That's in German, it's Datenbank, it's basis of data. We have membership pages where they can present themselves and present their ideas of tackling climate change effects on gardens in these kind of case studies or in these kind of fundings they got from other levels. And you've got the responsibles who's working for it. And of course, we are active on social media with 2 accounts, one on Twitter and one on Instagram. So I come to the conclusion. Of course, there are no patent remedies for combating the climate crisis in gardens and parks. It's making all more important for us to focus on the trees as the most emotional symbols of and victims, this is misspelled, of climate crisis. We have to closely network the actors. We have to bring some consultation support in order to make smaller organizations able to tackle on it like the great ones do themselves. Of course, best practices play a great role. We have to keep in touch, which isn't that easy in this information overload situation we have all on our desks and screens. And it's really important to have the dissemination of new findings from research and practice. This is our kind of relay we see in this organization, and be a reliable contact for stakeholders. So hopefully we are able to extend this program on European level. I think the EGHN is a good partner to do it, and I'm glad that I could present these ideas here, and thank you very much for your attention.